Hey, what's going on, Who That Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And for a few minutes, I want to talk a little bit about the New Orleans Saints and the LSU Tigers. I don't think it's a week that goes by that somebody doesn't inbox me or email me and ask me to talk about the Saints' lack of commitment to the LSU Tiger team. And what I mean by that is the Saints, year after year, they refuse to draft a LSU player in the higher rounds. I mean, you can go back to 2018. The Saints drafted offensive lineman Will Clapp in the seventh round, but it seems like the Saints just do not draft LSU players. And a lot of people are upset in the Who That Nation because they felt the Saints had two opportunities to draft some key players. One is Patrick Queen, a linebacker for LSU, who ended up going to the Baltimore Ravens, and Grant Delpit, the safety, who ended up going to the Cleveland Browns. So the question on everyone's mind is, why don't the Saints draft LSU players? Well, to answer your question, I can't. I can't answer the question because honestly, I don't know. I mean, we all know that LSU year after year, they have one of the best recruiting classes. High school players transitioning to college, and we watch these guys go and play for LSU and then become pros in the NFL and become all pros. You look at people like Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham Jr. You look at people like Jamal Adams, Patrick Peterson. The list goes on and on. Can't forget about the Honey Badger who just recently won the Super Bowl. I mean, these guys always go to the league and they always do a good job. The only logical explanation I think I can have that the Saints don't draft them is because I think the Saints are afraid to draft some of these players because these players are from the Louisiana area. Now, it's not as bad as it used to be, but once upon a time when Les Miles was the head coach, it seems like LSU players will always get in trouble. Always off the field issues. Somebody's getting kicked off the team for doing stuff, that's controversial to the team, and they end up losing out on their scholarship and, losing out on the opportunity. So I feel like the Saints looked at that and they were wondering, like, maybe if we draft these guys being from Louisiana, these guys probably mixing up with the wrong crowd, probably, going to get in trouble because they're still hanging out with some of those people they knew from high school and college. And maybe that's a bad influence and don't want that to happen. So the Saints allow those guys to go to other teams in other states where they probably don't really know that many people, and it allows them to become a better person. I think about back in I guess like 2014 or something like that, 2015, when everybody wanted the Saints to draft Tyrann Mathieu, the safety. Tyrann Mathieu, we know, he had a checkered past. He got kicked off the LSU team. He got drafted in the fourth round by the Arizona Cardinals, and I think that was the best thing to ever happen to him. I believe that Tyrann Mathieu probably would have had a harder time, doing the right thing if he would have stayed in New Orleans around the same people. I think by him going to Arizona and aligning himself with former LSU player Patrick Peterson, he taught him how to be a pro. And now you look at Tyrann Mathieu, he's one of the most upstanding players in all of the NFL. So I think the Saints look at those players and they don't want those players to be close by. I mean, it's not saying that these guys aren't talented. I mean, come on, man. I mean, Patrick Queen, super talented. Justin Jefferson, super talented. Grant Delpit, super talented. All of these guys are going to be really good in the National Football League, in my opinion. But sometimes it's probably best for players to get away from familiar territory in order for them to grow. I mean, y'all know how it goes sometimes, man. I mean, we all probably, know some people that probably we grew up with, probably don't mean us any good, okay? And it's probably best for us to stay from around those people. So I mean, we all been there, especially me, myself, growing up in the Ninth Ward in New Orleans, going to Culver High School, man, they had some bad apples in that thing. So it's best for you to remove yourself from those situations so you can mature. So I think that's the explanation that I have, but it has absolutely nothing to do with the talent that those guys possess. But I would love to hear from you. What do you think about the LSU players? What do you think about the Saints not drafting LSU players? And do you think there's this reason or maybe some other reasons? Comment down below, like and share this video. This has been the State of the Saints podcast. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. YouTube.com, search the State of the Saints podcast. Facebook.com, search the State of the Saints podcast. And also, the State of the Saints podcast is available on Alexa. All you have to do is say, "Hey Alexa, play the State of the Saints podcast," and you'll be able to hear this episode and previous episodes that already been recorded. Till next time, all I gotta say is, who they?